Welcome to another fun-filled Monday edition of Second City Sports. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Mr. Kim McGee, which is she. I am Cindy Brown, and that's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow my Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan McGee on the IG.
Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. You want to know why? Because we said so, that's why. And also, too, you can catch up on other live shows we have airing throughout the week, so you happen to miss them. You can go back and watch them and listen to them at your own leisure. Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app today. Speaking of Sports Zone Chicago, please find us on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Once again, please find and follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And also, too, while you're at it, please subscribe to our podcast. We're available at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS Podcast. We're available on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And while you're at it, please give War Media a follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Once again, at WARR Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We are unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. If you have any definite opinions during our 2-hour extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show, you can always hit us up in the comment section at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in questions or comments in the comments section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. But decide to troll and or do something stupid or act like the Phoenix Suns owner last night, I've given Lakina full power to give you fools the beer land beer boot.
Bye-bye.
I know what she says that. But before we begin, we must remind you that you also catch Sports Zone Chicago now available on Roku TV. That's right. So celebrate with the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now on Roku TV. If you already have a Roku television, just tap on that sports folder and download Sports Zone Chicago's app through that avenue. If you don't have a Roku TV, you have some handheld devices laying around, iPhone, iPad, iTouch, your personal PC like Lakina's using right now, on your Chromebook like I'm using right now. Just go to that Google Play Store, download that Roku TV app, and access Sports Zone Chicago through that avenue. So no more excuses. Celebrate with the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and 7 days a week. Live and on demand.
Anytime, anywhere you want.
And you know we will provide.
Oh, brother.
All right, Lakina, let's kick off this Monday edition of Second City Sports by discussing baseball. We'll start out with our two local teams first, and we'll start off with the Chicago White Sox. They win their second consecutive series, Lakina. I'm not saying a miracle is coming, but we got to take baby steps. Baby steps. Baby steps. They defeated the Cincinnati Reds yesterday in the series finale in the Queen City 17-4, thanks to an 11-run second inning, 2 home runs provided by the Sox players Andrews, Hansa Alberto, and Gavin Sheets.
Yep.
Lakina, after the last 2 games that I watched of this series, what I saw on Saturday night, they tried to do it again like they did on Friday night to come from behind to win. It didn't happen on Saturday. They went into their bad habits, leaving men on base, not taking advantage of breaks. But yesterday, we saw the old Southside Hitmen do what they did 2 years ago when they won the AL Central. And as get runners on, hit home runs, and get men across home plate, it was a beautiful sight to see. Even though Michael Kopech decided not to show up in the next couple of innings, giving those solo home runs, it was nice. It was great to see that White Sox offense finally busted out. Hopefully they can continue this this week as they go to Kansas City to play the Royals for 4.
Bravo! You scored 17 runs. Yay! Good for you. And we know how this team is. They score 10, 12 runs one night and spend like the next 4 games, score like 5 runs. So I'm like our girl Dion Miller from ABC7 Chicago, and of course ESPN Chicago. Let's
be a friend of the show.
Yeah, and for the show, of course. I'm kind of at that point where we're like, okay, yeah, you look. I think every team does at least once in the season, so I think the White Sox might have used up their chance there. But like, okay, great. Okay, that's nice. I mean, look, you're a little bit better than Cincinnati. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, I'm not that there yet. I mean, look, I know that they looked good, on Sunday, but they didn't look great on Saturday. And look, I'm kind of at that point. But wake me when they win 10 in a row. Wake me when they actually get back on track. They're still 7 games back in the AL Central. That's probably the old. There's only gonna be one team coming out of there, so. Whatever it is, they better get into it because you won two series in a row. Okay, yeah, good for you. But let's see if they uh, can keep back into that. Now, look, Kopech, it wasn't his best outing, but look, luckily for him, the offense, that was always a problem with them. We have a good showing, and then the offense wouldn't show up. So in this case, the offense kind of were ahead of it, and that's fine. But look, I mean, okay, Alberto had 4 hits, a career high 4 RBIs. Okay, yeah, you scored 11 in the second inning. Okay, that's nice. I just need more consistency from them, and that's been the problem with this White Sox squad. I mean, I just like I said, I'm not there yet. I'm not a believer yet. So I would say, look, wait me when they win 10 in a row, and then I'll probably get excited.
I'm cautiously optimistic. Like you said, Lakina, let's see if they can continue this against a lesser opponent in Kansas City. In recent history, even during the division winning year 2 years ago, the White Sox always struggle in Kansas City. I know Dylan Cease will be on the bump tonight. Let's see if you can get some run support for him finally. I was saying to myself yesterday, say at least have those runs for Dylan Cease tonight. We'll see what happens with that. But a couple encouraging signs that I took from that series that wrapped up yesterday. Andrew Vaughn is finally back on track. I know he's been struggling over the last week and a half. He had a couple big hits yesterday. Eloy Jimenez was starting to hit, but of course now he's injured. He had a surgery on his abdomen. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. But Lou Bob, a.k.a. La Pantera, a.k.a. Luis Robert Jr., he's starting to hit the ball very well right now. So remember about a week or so ago, Lakina, we talked about his lack of hustle against the Tampa Bay Rays, and he got benched for it, and rightfully so. He's responded ever since that benching. So let's hope he can keep up his hot swing of the bat as well. I know he had a big home run on Friday in the series opener against the Reds. But I'm encouraged about Luis Robert Jr. and Andrew Vaughn's bats. They're swinging hot sticks. They're swinging hot sticks right now.
Consistency. That's all I asked for this White Sox squad. And I'm not there yet. So like I said, you're going to Kansas City, which has been unfortunately recent years a house of horrors for them. So we'll see what happens in these next 4 games. Like I said, win 10 in a row, and then I'll look at y'all. But right now, okay, yeah.
You'll be like, guys, you go wear something silly on there.
Yeah, I mean, look, 17 runs. I mean, I'm like, okay, yay, whoop-de-doo, yay. Look, I mean, that's time for a franchise record, scoring that many runs in the inning. So that's I'm okay, great, yeah, okay, yeah. Everyone does at least once in a long season. Okay, big deal. So again, I'm not there yet. So look, like I said, wait me when they win 10 in a row. Now go into the north side, a little bit more encouraging. The Cubs did win their series. Unfortunately, they lose a tough one in 14. 5-4 against the Marlins. They went 2 out of 3 against the Marlins. But on a Alizé balk, which was not a balk. I don't know what the heck that home plate umpire was talking about, but okay, whatever. But but even still, I mean, look, he had a solid show. Nick Madrigal had a 2-run single in that Saturday game to help win Saturday night's game, and then you had a couple of great pitching performances. So look, they the Cubs had a chance to sweep the series, but look, I guess you could say baby steps here as well. They're back to they're back at 500 again. But look, if you're the Cubs, you gotta be feeling pretty good right now. It looks like Kyle Henderson is sort of like on that route, his way to coming back. He might be back in a few weeks. I know he has a rehab start. He had a good rehab start over the weekend. So I'm kind of encouraged here that they play the Cardinals, who are suddenly terrible. So we'll get to them in a second. They haven't been playing very well. They haven't had a good start to the season. But look, I think if you're a Cubs fan, you gotta be feeling pretty good where you're at right now.
What about hashtag Mash Mervis, aka rookie Matt Mervis? He had a couple of RBI in his first hit on Friday. He had an RBI, which helped the Cubs win the first game of this series. I know he had another big RBI over the weekend. He's making a difference so far in that lineup. I'm not saying he's going to win Rookie of the Year. I'm not saying he's going to go for NL MVP. It's way too soon for that. So I'm be reasonable here. He's made a difference in that lineup right now. I know this it says a couple of things about that move. Like we didn't get into it on Friday. I'll mention this now. One, it says Nick Madrigal, who was not sent down. You notice he stepped up his game these last couple of days, especially at the plate. Number 2, Eric Hosmer. You're a nice guy and all, but this says bye-bye to you, which we knew that this was coming whenever Matt Murray was going to get called up. So those are 2 things I took out of that Matt Murray's being called up the other day. Now, back on the field, Steve Wisniewski, he pitched a great game yesterday, and including his start yesterday. He's pitched his last 3 starts with 5+ innings, giving up one earned run in each of his last 3 starts. And Lakina, we talked about this throughout this young season. This Cubs team goes the way that starting pitching goes, and then gets some timely hits. And we saw that in this series against the Miami Marlins. Now, could they have won yesterday's game? They should have, especially with Wisniewski's outing. But the Marlins took advantage of some bad Cubs breaks, and sometimes that happens. But this Cubs team, they can just keep winning series. They will be there. And don't forget about Marcus Stroman, too. I know he's not a strikeout pitcher, but he's aggressive around the plate. He gets a lot of ground ball outs, and he puts his pitches in places that hitters can't hit around the strike zone. And like you mentioned, Cal Hendricks is starting to come back. And don't forget Justice Steele, Lakina. We talked about him during spring training. He had a great outing on Friday. Their starting left-hander. He's really proven to be one of the best young pitchers in baseball right now. He's 5-0. He has the best starter ERA in the National League. This Cubs team is trying to make some moves, and if you're a Cubs fan, despite what happened yesterday, you got to be encouraged, obviously.
Yeah, they're right at 500, and they're right there in division. Well, we'll get to the rest of their division. Their division in a second, because they're right there. So yeah, I mean, look, Wisniewski. I mean, that was probably one of his best performances of the season. And look, I know it's hard for the Cubs to pitch against Sandy Alcantara, who's the reigning Cy Young winner in the National League. But look, they held their own, and look, they left guys on base. I think they had a couple of chances. A guy on third with 1 out or no outs. They weren't able to get that game winner. So they did leave some runs on the board, and they left a win on the board. So it sucks, but look, that happens. But I think if you're a Cubs fan, you gotta be feeling pretty good where you are right now. I think Mertz has been definitely a big sort of a big boost for them. And look, sorry Eric Hosmer, but I think our buddy Mark Silver from ESPN 1000 sort of kind of like said, you're a nice guy and all, but you gotta say bye to you. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him as it gets closer and closer. We'll see if they call Christopher Morel too, because he's been hitting the ball pretty well to a AAA as well. So I'm kind of optimistic where the Cubs are right now. They have like I said, they have 3 against the Cardinals starting tonight. They go after that, weekend they play Minnesota, so that should help them a little bit. Gets a little bit tougher after that. So again, try to get these wins as much as you can, and try to stack up these wins, because it does get tougher as we get close, get it further and further into the month. So we'll see what happens. But I think you gotta be feeling pretty encouraged if you're a Cubs fan right now.
Yeah. So the only other thing that would be concerning if I was a Cubs fan is their bullpen. We know that Michael Fulmer's not their closer. Is Boxberger their closer for right now, until assuming that they're in contention there, that GM Carter Hawkins and Jed Hoyer, they make a move around the trade deadline to get a closer, get a solid bullpen arm in there, because that's the only thing that's really holding this team back right now is a solid bullpen arm. I know I'm not going to say they're doing it in a mash unit, but they're trying out some guys to see who can stick right now. They've done a decent job overall, but they really got to get that closer role down solid and patent and do it ASAP.
Yeah, hopefully Jed Hoyer and Connor Hawkins can kind of be find somebody maybe in the trade deadline, get that middle reliever, get that proven closer to sort of like. And that's really, if you can say that's the one thing the Cubs have had problems with, is because of that middle relief. So we'll see what happens. But I guess look, if you gotta be feeling pretty good if you're the Cubs right now. So we'll see what happens with that. So we're gonna take a really quick break. We're gonna talk about the rest of the MLB. Some interesting things happened over the weekend in the loss of one of the all-time greats. And if we got time, we'll talk some NBA playoffs, as some really interesting things happened over the weekend. And a little bit of a testy, got a little testy in Phoenix last night. Well, we'll tell you.
You don't say.
Just a little bit. We'll tell you about that. A great performance from one team, and a really bittersweet moment in one game as well. So, Lakina McGee, Cindy Brown, Second City Sports on Sports Chicago. More baseball and NBA playoff talk coming up right after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too. These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Oh, sorry. Welcome back to Second City Sports, the Monday edition. We're live and live in color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid, that's Lakina. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80, that's SIDKID80, SIDKID80. Say that 5 times fast.
You can follow me at Kenny McGee on the Twitter and at Kenny Kirby on the IG.
We got less than 90 minutes left of this extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show. You have any questions or comments for us, you can always hit us up in the comments section at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comments section. Lakina will get the up on the screen for you.
All right, so let's talk about the rest of the Major League Baseball. What caught your eye this weekend?
Your Seattle Mariners taking 2 out of 3 from the Houston Astros and sending them to third place in the AL West.
Yeah, Bryce Miller had a great showing on Saturday, and it's definitely. I think this was a series that they really needed, especially since I know Houston's had their various issues with injuries and such. But I think taking 2 out of 3, I think this is hopefully this is just a start of something. So I'm very optimistic about my Mariners right now. They had a solid showing on the bats. Like I said, Bryce Miller had a great outing on Saturday. So I feel like look, we're starting to get there a little bit. I know that I know Texas has still been playing very well. I know the Angels are starting to kind of fall back to earth a little bit. So, but look, I'm optimistic with my Mariners, so I'm feeling pretty good about them now. Oakland, unfortunately, chill. Jesus,
They got other issues going on. I'm sure we'll get to that in a sec.
Well, yeah, we'll get to the Oakland's issues in a second. But on a somewhat sad news, of course, Vida Blue, a 3-time World Series champion with the A's, won the Cy Young and MVP too during one of those spans. In that span, when Oakland won 3 in a row during the 70s, passed away early yesterday morning. I saw all the pictures. I know Dave Stewart was, Vida was one of his mentors growing up, of course, also to a great starting pitcher for the A's as well, among other teams. And just a really, one of the all-time best pitchers. And I'm glad he's finally getting his due, it feels like. So, I mean, I know that it's been a rough weekend for the Oakland organization for various reasons. We'll get to the other reason in a second, but but this is on a serious note. This is really really sweet, and I'm sure once they get back to Oakland, they will honor him. I know his family will be there and such. So, but it's sort of definitely a tough weekend for Oakland.
Yeah, we talk about Black American pitchers. We don't see that many anymore, but we saw a few more of them with us growing up, looking even through our parents' generation. You talk about Satchel Paige from the old Negro leagues, and of course Bob Gibson, of course, Dave Stewart, as you mentioned, Dwight Gooden, Dwight Gooden, and there's a few others said that's not registered. CeCe Sabathia, who should be in the Hall of Fame in a few years. So. You talk about countless others as well, but Vida Blue, like I said, really didn't get his due, and I don't know why. He was never known to be a bad guy, anything of that stature. So, and like you say, I'm glad he's finally starting to get his due, but unfortunately, it had to take death for him to do that. Look, I don't know if it was on MLB.TV or on YouTube, but I was watching a segment. You remember we honored this show a few months ago, This Week in Baseball.
Yes.
And after he retired, I don't know if you saw this, but if you haven't, people go look it up on YouTube. He got married because he played for both San Francisco and the Oakland A's, and he played for Kansas City as well. He got married at the old San Francisco Giants Stadium, Candlestick Park. If you're a Chicago fan, especially if you're a Bears fan, there's a House of Horrors outside of 1985. For the House of Horrors for Chicago teams. But back to Vida Blue. Vida Blue got married on that field, and it was a sellout crowd, and he wanted to honor his wife and honor the organization that took him in. So I thought that was a very cool moment. So those of you that haven't seen it, I think go to MLB.TV or just look it up on YouTube. Vida Blue gets married at Candlestick Park. I believe it was in 1988 or 89. So I thought that was a cool moment. Of course, he retired after that. So this is after he retired. So, but like you said, he really didn't get his just due. I don't know why, but unfortunately, he had to take death. But I'm glad he's getting his flowers now.
Yeah, I know he dealt with some demons. Of course, he was very honest with that. I know he dealt with cocaine and all of that. And I know he was suspended for the entire '84 season because of that. I know, but he was clean and sober for years. I know that he spent a lot of time with that organization still. So I think that kind of, manifested everything. And, he's definitely, he's definitely one of those pitchers, especially with black pitchers. And of course, we don't see a lot of that anymore. Of course, you got Marcus Stroman, among many others, but there aren't that many. So he was one of those guys. Like, he was one of the main reasons why Oakland won all those 3 World Series from 72, 73, and 74. So, it's been a tough go at it because I think a lot of those guys on that team besides him are no longer with us. So I'm sure that we'll honor, because it's coming into the 50th anniversary of the 73 team that won. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of places because Oakland needs something, but that's a whole different situation.
Yeah, don't forget Hunter Green too, who the Sox beat on Friday. He's another Black American pitcher for Cincinnati. I know he doesn't get as much fun because Cincinnati stinks, but he's another great young pitcher on the rise as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So play for UCLA too. Play for Coach Lav at UCLA back in the for St. John's, I should say, back in the early the mid 2010s. So before he went into baseball full time. But yeah, so rest in peace to Vida Blue, and thoughts and prayers to him and his family in the Oakland organization. Now on the flip side of that, Glenn Kuiper, who is the A's Kuiper, that's how you say his name. Kuiper, A's broadcaster during that series against Kansas City, he and Dallas Braden, of course, they do television for that. They visited the Negro League Museum. Unfortunately, when he said it didn't come out. It was not. He didn't say Negro. I'm not gonna say the word, but you know which one I'm talking about. Y'all know. Y'all are pretty smart. He's been suspended. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that that's not the first time he's used that word. Because you don't say it, you don't have a Freudian slip like that if you don't use that word often. I don't want to go in too deep into it. I just want to kind of make our piece known about it. I'll just say my piece. You can, take from here. But yeah, he should have been fired. I'm sorry. Usually, I'm all for giving people second chances, but you don't. It's something about playing, in Kansas City where I guess broadcasters go to kill their careers. I guess we saw what happened with Tom Brenneman in that whole situation a couple of years ago, and then now this with Glenn Kuiper, it's just terrible. And the fact that Dallas Braden, I know he kind of tried to sort of like kept it moving, but without knowing that it was going to go viral and such. But yeah, just awful. And we'll just, I know they won 2 out of 3, but against the Royals, but that was just terrible.
Yeah, it's the power of social media, Lakina. And even if it wasn't for social media, this would happen like 10, 12 years ago. Glenn Kuiper still would have gotten into trouble. But the way the information moves quickly, Lakina, and I know, and that's what happened with Tom Brenneman as well. As soon as people take clips of it and put it on social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, people run with it, and the information gets out quicker. It's not like we found out 2 or 3 days later, and the organization's trying to cover their tracks. This came out immediately, and don't forget, folks, that especially with people who have subscriptions to watch other games outside of your market, they are watching those games, and even if they don't, they see somebody else tweeting up on social media, they retweet it and make comments on it. So the power of social media, I guess, was used for good in this case. So I know he's suspended. If he would have got fired, would I have cried a tear for him? No. Like you said, people do deserve second chances, but some mistakes you just do not come back from. It's not like he went back and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't say it." I get, as broadcasters, we're trained to keep it moving, but with something like that, you just can't act cavalier and act like you need to do something atrocious. That's just me.
He didn't apologize to those 6 innings, so you got to think that someone probably told him that.
They did. Someone told him in his ear.
You may want to address this. So we'll see what happens. And I know he's suspended right now, but it is what. Oh, child. Okay, moving right along. Let's Toronto swept the Pirates, and I have to say they kind of dominated that whole series. I mean, they outscored Pittsburgh 22-3. So they've actually unfortunately for the Pirates, and now lost 7 in a row, kind of falling back to earth a little bit. Now the Blue Jays are starting to kind of find their groove. So you got to be feeling pretty good. I mean, their pitch has been really solid too. And look, I feel like they're starting to kind of heat up. I know Mitt Merrifield, I think, hit his first home run this season. I think he had like about 6 RBIs during that entire series. So the Blue Jays are getting hot.
Yeah, and speaking of the AL East, that's very competitive. What about the Baltimore Orioles? They take the first game of that series against Atlanta on Friday. I'll watch that game. As we said before, Lakina, I'll keep on saying that Baltimore offense is fun to watch with Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson at third base, and Cedric Mullins being the leadoff hitter at the top of that lineup. And Anthony Santander, he hit a grand slam and then went on Friday. That Baltimore team is fun to watch. I know they lost the last 2 games of that series. Thank you to Michael Harris III's game winner yesterday in the 12th inning on NBC. Atlanta is a very good team. As we said, they're going to be top of the NL East. We'll get to the rest of the division in a moment. But back to Baltimore, that if they ever shore up their starting pitching, I think they're going to be very dangerous. They're very good already because of the offense, but they need to shore up their starting pitching. Now with Boston, they take 2 out of 3 in Philadelphia. It looks like the Red Sox's offense has started to come around too, and we'll see what happens. Because remember, around this point last year, they were one of the top teams in the American League. Of course, injuries decimated that team, which ruined their season. So we'll see what happens with Baltimore and Boston.
Yeah, absolutely. And going to the NL West for a second, so the Dodgers are now in first place as this recorded. They win 2 out of 3 against San Diego, including the Sunday nighter last night on Sunday Night Baseball, 5-2. Now this is after they were bounced back for not a good outing for Clayton Kershaw. One of his rare bad outings. Of course, he gave up 2 home runs to Fernando Tatis Jr. He's starting to find his groove a little bit after coming back from suspension. But look, I think the Dodgers are starting to find their groove too. All their guys who they picked up are starting to mesh pretty well at this point. Look, we know what Mookie Betts, James Outman. I mean, we know what those guys can do. So they're starting to kind of find their groove a little bit. And I think look, the Dodgers. I'm not gonna say they're gonna run away with the division, but with the Diamondbacks starting to fall back to earth a little bit themselves, I think the Dodgers. I'm not saying they're gonna be in the driver's seat, but I think they may take control of this division, this NL West, and not look back.
Yes, and we mentioned that they have new teammates that's starting to get used to Dave Roberts, the manager's system. You still have veterans like Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman to lead that group. And don't forget about Max Muncy as well. He's swinging a hot stick right now, one of the lead leaders in batting average in the National League. So I did watch the first couple of games of that series. Like you mentioned, Fernando Tatis was the difference on Friday, but the Dodgers still do the little things to win ball games. And until they start finding the groove again, which it looks like they're starting to do. San Diego is going to have to catch up in that department. I know people want to say that's a rivalry. It is because of what San Diego did last year, but they're going to have to slay the dragon again because, like you said, this Dodgers team, it may not be the 111-win team from a year ago, but they're still a ball club to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. And like I said, going back to National League Central real quick before we do the scheduling, I know the Pirates have lost 7 in a row, like I mentioned, including being swept by the Blue Jays. The Brewers, they lose 2 out of 3 to the Giants. And look, we talked about the Cubs. I mean, like I said, they're still right there in the division. They're only 2.5 back of that NL Central. So it is there for them to take. So no one's going to run away with this division. So you got to be feeling a little bit more confident if you're the Cubs right now. So they're starting to, the Brewers, they've started, they're, just not after losing 6 in a row. They did save themselves from getting swept by the Giants, and in their 6-game skid. But still, I mean, if you're the Cubs, you got to be feeling pretty good of where you're at right now in that Central Division. Yeah,
we talked about Milwaukee. They usually have good starting pitching, and their defense is usually up to par, but their offense is a hit and miss. And you should mention it was hit and miss against the San Francisco Giants on the road this weekend. So as long as the Cubs continue to do their business, they'll be right there. Milwaukee, they're still a team to be reckoned with. I just can't figure out St. Louis, who the Cubs will face tonight. I still have made that slight belief that the Cardinals can turn it around. Usually they're not this bad, especially to start off a season. But like you said, they're right there. No one's going to. We said this before the season, despite St. Louis' struggles, that no one was going to run away with this because there's not a dominant team in this division. But as I said before in our last segment, if the Cubs just continue to win series and play slightly above 500, they'll be in this thing.
Absolutely. So we'll see what happens in that division. Now, going into this week's scheduling real quick. You got
real quick, back to the American League for just a moment. The Yankees, Garrett Cole had a good start yesterday. They blew a 6-0 lead. Tampa Bay comes back to win that game 8-7, and they take 2 out of 3 for the Bronx Bombers.
Yeah, injuries. You got to think. Remember, Aaron Judge is out right now, so I'm hoping that. Look, they're in last place in their division right now. I'm talking about the Yankees, so
and barely above 500.
Yeah, so they better try to get it together and see if they can kind of try to salvage something before until Judge is able to come back. But yeah, it's not looking good for the Bronx Bombers right now. So we'll see what happens there. Now, finally going into the schedule for this week. So series starts today. You got Detroit and Cleveland. Then you got Tampa Bay and Baltimore. That should be a fun one in the AL East. Colorado and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh hoping to stop their slide. Oakland and New York. Maybe we'll see if they can, New York can try to, try to start turning the corner a little bit. The Sox and Kansas City. And also, too, you got the Dodgers and the Brewers. That should be a fun one.
Yeah, the rest of the series that are starting tonight, of course, the Cardinals and the Cubs at 6:40. Those of you nationally can watch that game tonight, Monday on MLB Network. Other series starting tonight, Houston at Los Angeles to take on the Dodgers. The Miami Marlins will visit Arizona to take on the Diamondbacks. Looking at Seattle Mariners will host the Texas Rangers in the first place showdown in the American League West. Who'd have thunk that? The Rangers are 20-13. The Mariners are 17-17. And of course, the Washington Nationals will go by the bait to face the San Francisco Giants. other series that are starting tomorrow, Tuesday, we'll have the New York Mets traveling to Cincinnati to take on the Reds. The rematch of the 93 World Series, we'll have Toronto facing Philadelphia in the city of brotherly love. And the other interleague series that will start tomorrow, Boston and Atlanta. So Red Sox will take on the Braves. San Diego will visit the Minnesota Twins. Of course, the Twins lost 2 out of 3 in Cleveland over the weekend. And that is your schedule for this week in Major League Baseball as the series gets underway tonight and tomorrow.
And that Boston Atlanta, the first game of that Boston Atlanta series will be on TBS. Well, the second game, the first game of that series will be on TBS as part of their Tuesday game of the week that they do here. So should be a fun one nonetheless. For the Second City Sports on Chicago, Lakina McGee, Cindy Brown with you. We got a few minutes up, wrapping up hour number 1 now. Going into the NBA playoffs, we're going to go to the hardwood for a little bit. Here, we'll start with last night's game. And shout out to our buddy Spiro Ditas, friend of the show, who called this, who's been calling this series between Denver and Phoenix, along with Brendan Haywood, former North Carolina great. Went to a couple All-Star games there as well in the NBA himself, a great analyst, both college and pro. But the Phoenix Suns tied the series 129 and 124 over Denver. This was a back and forth game. You thought that, the Suns were up big, but then Denver came back. You thought that maybe Denver, would come back and pull away, but they didn't. It's been sort of like the no-name guys, I guess, for the Suns. This is the Landry Shamet game. Of course, for those who don't know, he's a former guard from Wichita State. Had his career high 19 points off the bench, so he made some big shots to help sort of seal that win for the Suns. And so got some a good showing from some of their guys kind of like off the bench too. Talk about the Suns did. So I think Terrence Ross made some big baskets as well. So I think, look, if you're Monty Williams, this is what you want. You wanted the guys, especially with CP3 still being out. Mm-hmm. This is the kind of thing that you wanted. You wanted sort of like the guys outside of KD and Booker. I know Campaign made a couple of big shots as well, made some defensive stops too. So it got me feeling pretty good for the Suns. Now, like I said, I don't know if they'll win the series, but we'll see.
Yeah, and Friday night's win against Denver, I should say. Phoenix came out with a little bit more of urgency. Of course, they were led by Durant and Denver Booker. They took the momentum into last night's game. Of course, Booker and Durant both scored 36 points each, but it was the Suns bench that made the difference. Lakina, we talked about it before. Should the Suns not advance to the NBA Finals, there'll be a lack of depth because of that trade they made with the Brooklyn Nets with Durant back in February. But the Suns outscored Denver's bench last night 40-11. As you mentioned, Landry Shamet, he had a big night off the bench. And I don't think they're going to score 40 points again off the bench, talking about Phoenix. But if they can get between 15 and 20 points from their bench, they're going to be in really great shape for this series. Now, on the flip side, Denver's Nikola Jokic had a game high 53 points. So that's a franchise high for Denver for one player to for the most points in one playoff game. Of course, Jamal Murray's been up and down. Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon. I don't know about you, Lakina. Did you hear from any of those players last night making a big impact? I didn't. So Denver needs other guys to step in and help out Jokic. I know he was a one-man show last night, but last time I checked, those superstars you need to carry you for a while, but there's other supporting cast mates, like we mentioned on the flip side for the Suns, that they're going to have to step up for Denver. As far as three-point shooting last night was concerned, Phoenix was shooting at a 44% clip to Denver's 31. Denver struggled shooting the ball from the outside. In the rebounding department, it was even out with Phoenix at a +5 advantage, 37-32. But Lakina, it came down to the little things last night. As we always say in the playoffs, sometimes when it's teams are evenly matched, it comes down to the basics. It comes down to hustle plays, and Phoenix just had that edge last night.
Well, the 7 for 23 from 3 for 22 from 3, I should say, for the Nuggets. That's not going to do it for you, especially if you're a team that depends on the 3. Maybe a little bit too much for my taste, but it's definitely one of those things where I think that was a big difference. The hustle plays and such. You had the no-name guys, like I said, Shamat and Ross, and like I said, Campaign had a couple of big shots. So TJ Warren as well. So yeah, I feel like, again, this is sort of what you're going to need to do if you're the Suns to try to keep up with Denver. Look, Jokic will get his points. That's going to be hard to slow down somebody. The key is to slow down the rest of the guys. Now, unfortunately, Jamal Murray didn't. He had 28 points, but he could have done more from three. Aaron Gordon, where was he those last few minutes? Michael Porter Jr., same thing. So it just it just wasn't there for the Nuggets today. So now it's going to be last night I should say. So now it's going to be a best of three, and I mean, it's going to get interesting to see because both teams held serve at home. We'll get to the schedule, probably not till after the break, but it's going to be interesting to see which someone's going to have to maybe steal a win on the road, and I think that's probably the only way they're going to have to do it to win this series. So Jokic's 53 was the fourth most in the loss in NBA playoff history. Is also the most in the regulation loss in playoff history as well. So look, like you said, Jokic will get his shots, but the other guys have to step up, and that didn't happen last night.
I want to ask you a question, Lakina, as Game 5 takes place, I believe, tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
The way that Phoenix played in Game 2, what percentage of chance would you give them to steal a game in Denver? Because they came close in Game 2, but yes, no cigar. Did. What percentage would you give them to steal and win tomorrow night in Denver?
I think they have like a 60. I give like a 50-50 chance because like we've been saying, I mean, in the playoffs, it's all things change, narratives change very differently throughout. So like they were close in Game 2. I think they left that they could be up 3-1 right now if they didn't get cold late. So that's really going to be the key here. And I think, look, like I said, someone's going to have to steal a win on the road. So that's really going to be kind of like the thing here. And probably another thing, real quick before we move on to the thrilling Suns Celtics game from yesterday, but apparently Jokic got into it with the Suns owner, Matt Ishbia. I think that's how you say his name. I don't know how you say his last name, but Matt Shabia. Apparently he got into it. Of course, I guess I saw through the rise that that Jokic will not get suspended, which is probably a smart thing, I guess, since apparently Sheba kind of initiated the whole thing. But what do you think about that whole thing? That whole thing was just weird to me.
Yeah, I get it. You're a fan. You're trying to get into the game. You're cheering for your team. Jokic just asked for the ball. That's all there was. But as Charlemagne, the guy from the Breakfast Club radio morning show, the donkey of the day is not the Phoenix Suns owner. It was the fan that was standing behind him that shoved Jokic thinking he wasn't going to get caught. You were the donkey of the day, and he got ejected, and rightfully so.
Yeah, so it really was. So I think it was kind of like So yeah, it was kind of like but it didn't really get into it too much. So it is what it is with that. So I'm glad that Jokic is not going to get suspended because that whole thing was kind of silly. But it's just sort of like how weird all that works. But moving on, real quick before we go to break, we got one more game. This next game from yesterday. The Sixers edged out Boston 116-115 in overtime. A couple of big shots from James Harden. We'll get to the bigger picture on that in just a second, but he had 42 points, which is I think it's a career playoff high for him, or it's up there. I don't know if that's a career high, but Embiid had 34 points, and also Marcus Smart hit the three, but he was about like maybe a tenth or maybe 2/10 a little bit late to shoot it off. I'm sure it would have counted had he had gotten that off maybe like a tenth a tenth or two or sooner. But now with that said, they're tied at 2, and look, the Sixers were up big. Unfortunately, the Celtics came rolling back. That clock definitely saved, probably might have saved Doc Rivers' job, I think, because
for the time being, yes.
Yeah, had the Sixers lost that game, I mean, who knows? I'm sure Philadelphia would have gone, berserk. So thankfully, Harden was able to save the day for Philly, and look, they're tied at 2 going back to Boston.
Unlike in games 2 and 3, Lakina, what did you notice about James Harden? Because I noticed something very quickly that he didn't do in the last 2 games. I want to ask you before I give my answer.
He shot the ball?
Well, not only that, he drove the ball to the basket. I know he's a different player now since he's getting older. I know he's lost half a step, but you notice, especially during that first half, he was being aggressive, driving the ball to the basket. He was being a playmaker, looking for his teammates, and which also helps Joel and Embiid as well. I know both those guys scored over double digits in terms of points in the first half. I think James Harden had 21, Joel Embiid had 19 in the first half. But James Harden was being aggressive. Outside of game 1, we haven't seen that in the series from him until yesterday. So if James Harden gets the green light to get aggressive, this Philadelphia 76ers team is real dangerous. Now, they got away with murder yesterday, only scoring 11 points total off their bench. But so James Harden goes, being as far as being aggressive, taking his game to the basket, instead of just settling for that jump shot all the time, Philadelphia is a much better team. That's one thing I noticed from Philadelphia's side yesterday. On the flip side for Boston, they went through droughts from not shooting the ball very well. But one thing they do operate very well, and we saw this last year on their march to the finals. They turn up their defense, especially in the late stages of the game. You saw that yesterday with them forcing overtime.
Yeah, and those that was the second. Both the Sixers wins have came from Harden's go-ahead threes. Of course, he joins Rashard Lewis and Robert Horry as the third player in the last 25 seasons with to do that in the last 20 seconds of their final possession. Also, to John Howe, of course, this video has gone viral. He was one of the victims of the Michigan State mass shooting that happened a couple of months ago. He's now paralyzed, but he is alive. He's a big Harden fan. Harden said that he wanted, him to come. I'm talking about John to come on. Invited him to one of the playoff games. He was there yesterday. He signed his game worn sneakers to give to John, and it was a really sweet moment. And I think he gave him a jersey too. I think his jersey too. So, and a couple other goodies as well. So that was a really nice moment for him, and of course in still a very dark time for him. Talking because he lost a couple of friends were injured during that whole thing, but. That was a sweet moment for John and for Harden to share. That was really a really sweet moment. Now, as far as the game itself, I mean, look, the Sixers got away with that. Always having 11 points scored off the bench, but they really need to get their bench guys. We'll get to that in a little bit after the break, but because we got to take a quick break, of course, we'll talk about the other two NBA playoff series going on right now. Of course, we'll talk some NHL playoffs as well. Might be seeing some upsets here. Ooh, we'll see, but a lot to do still coming up next. Lakita McGee, City Brown, and our girl Christine Manika for KXRB having a rare Monday appearance. So
rare Monday appearance, yes.
Very rare, yes. So we're gonna have her on to get her thoughts on some of this stuff as well. So Lakita McGee, Sydney Brown, Second City Sports on Sports Social Chicago. More fun coming up in hour 2 right after this.
No, I don't know though. I'm scared. I mean,
Do you know that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Tom Brady, the director of DODEA. September is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. The simple act of reaching out and caring for those in our communities is something we all can do. Just being there for someone you care about can be a tremendous first step in getting them access to confidential resources and support that they need. It only takes one person and one small act and 1 minute to make a difference. Let's make a difference.
Move it!
Many will hear the calling. Few will earn the title. United States Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Second City Sports, the Monday edition. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid, that's Lakina. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80, that's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan McGee on the IG.
We have 55 minutes left or so left of this extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show. You have any questions or comments for us? You can always hit us up in the comment section at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in questions or comments in the comments section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. And don't forget, coming up later this hour, our girl from KXRB, Miss Christine, the Queen Manika, will join us for her bi-weekly commentary of sports, entertainment, and more.
All right, Sid, we're going to look forward to that. But, going back to the rest of the weekend in the NBA, we'll start off with the Lakers. The Lakers dominating the Warriors. And I'm kind of like, these games have not been close, especially game one. All the rest of the games since have not been close. In this case, Saturday was no exception, 127-97. The Lakers pound the Warriors. AD had 25. Steph Curry had 23 in a losing effort. Now, of course, granted, Looney, Kevin Looney was out, so that might have played a little bit of a part in this. But even still, they got good contributions from some guys. Of course, LeBron had 21. Also, D'Angelo Russell had 21. Austin Rivers had 10 points. So, Dennis Schroeder had 12 off the bench. Also, Lonnie Walker the fourth also had 12 off the bench, I should say. So a little bit contributions for everybody for the Lakers, and that's been one of the reasons why they were able to pull this out and pound the Warriors.
Yeah, we said this on the last few shows, including our last show last Friday, Lakina. So goes Anthony Davis, so goes the Lakers. You need LeBron to be that facilitator and help chip in scoring rise as your second or third leading scorer. If you expect LeBron James to put on a cape like he was in Cleveland the first time or even the second time, that's not going to happen because he's a much older player. Anthony Davis took advantage of Kevon Looney's absence. 25 points, you mentioned, 13 rebounds and 4 blocks. And ABC showed a reel of this during the broadcast. I don't know if you paid attention to it, Lakina, but did you notice that Anthony Davis played very well on the pick and roll, was something he's been struggling with throughout these playoffs? These playoffs, he played very well in the pick and roll. Had a couple of steals, which led to some fast break points for the Los Angeles Lakers. And he's really stepping up defensively, not just in the paint, but defending the pick and roll. Also, to D'Angelo Russell, he came out hot. I believe he hit his first 3 or 4 3-point shots, and which that helped the Lakers get off to a fast start. But he mentioned the contributions of the other guys, Austin Reeves and Dennis Schroeder. We've been begging for them to do that, and they did that on Saturday night.
Yeah, I know LeBron. People made a big deal about LeBron not taking any field goal attempts during the first half, which is first quarter. I should say was the first in his career. I think he might have had some other things going on. We'll get to that later on with Christine. But look, I think this is what you want. He finished up with 21 points, 2 for 4 from 3. And look, I think the 3-point shooting was really the story. I mean, the Lakers shot 48.4% from 3, while the Warriors only shot about 30%. That's not going to do it for you, especially if you're a team like the Warriors that depend on the 3 a lot. So for me, I think that's going to be the real thing here and the real test. We'll see if Looney will be able to come back tonight. I'm kind of at that point where someone's got to look. Both teams have kind of held serve. So the Lakers are up 2-1 right now, and we'll see. I mean, tonight's game is pivotal for the Warriors for multiple reasons. But like I said, we'll get to that in a second. But the contributions from both from supporting folks from the Lakers. So I think that's really going to be the key. Now going back into that, the other game from Saturday, the Heat take a 2-1 lead over the Knicks in a very interesting game. 105-80.
Interesting to say the least.
Well, that was kind of like the whole thing here. 19 points. The Heat beat the Knicks by 105-86. You saw a little bit of what the old Knicks Heat playoff series from back in the day. Of course, all that was missing was Tibbs grabbing Bam's leg. That would have been hilarious. But it is what it is with that. Jesus. Jimmy Butler had another 28 points. Still, doing it with despite a bad angle. Max Strus had 19 points. In relief for for Tyler Hero. Bam had 17 and 12 boards. So on the flip side for New York, I mean, Julius Randle, where are you, buddy? 10 points. I know that ankle might still be bothering you. Now, Jalen Brunson, to his credit, with a bum ankle, 20 points, but was also 0 for 5 from 3. So you got to think that played a part in it as well. So look, this series could still go either way, but I think for people who thought that maybe they were gonna, that they were, gonna that this was the Knicks gonna be an easy series for the Knicks, the Heat are saying not so fast.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Lakina, Miami came out on fire. They shot the ball well in that first half, especially from the outside where the Knicks went cold. The only person that was doing anything, like you said, was Jalen Brunson. But the Knicks are going to make some adjustments, especially defensively. We know what Jimmy Butler can do for the Miami Heat. Of course, his return made a huge difference, which we all thought it would, with Butler scoring 28 points. Do you double team Butler? What do you do staying home with those other shooters with Matt Struss, Caleb Martin, and Duncan Robinson? The coach tips for the Knicks going to have to figure out something defensively. How are you going to defend Jimmy Butler? Will you constantly double team him as soon as he gets the ball, or what? They got to figure out something, because we all know in the playoffs it's not about exotic schemes or anything like that. It's all about matchups and adjustments. So I get Josh Hart is your primary defender on Jimmy Butler when he guards him, but something's going to change the way they defend Jimmy Butler. What is that? I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be really going to be. And look, that's something that they're going to have to figure out. I'm talking about the Knicks, because if look, the Heat somehow win tonight and they go up 3-1, that's going to be a big hole for the Knicks to climb out of, especially when you got Brunson that ankle still bother him. You got Randall struggling, so I don't know. I mean, again, we'll see what happens. But I know quickly. I think he's been having trouble with his ankles as well. So where have I seen this movie before, folks? With Coach Tibbs, That's
a whole nother show in itself.
That's a whole different whole episode right there. But yeah, I mean, look, I said, we'll see what happens. Like I said, some big, pivotal game tonight as well for the Knicks. So this is definitely a must win for them. No doubt about it. Now going into this weekend in the NBA playoffs, of course, tonight, as I mentioned, of course, you got game 4s of both the Knicks and the Heat, as well as the Warriors and the Lakers. Do you see anybody tying their series tonight?
If I would give a percentage of a chance for some team to tie a series, that's the Golden State Warriors. They've been through this situation before. You're staring down potential 3-1 hole. Yes, the Lakers outplayed you in their 2 wins, but you're still the Golden State Warriors. If Kevon Looney somehow finds some miracle to play tonight, that gives you a better chance of winning the ball game. But Draymond Green, outside of game 2, has made no impact in this series so far defensively. So I'm looking for him to step up tonight, especially against guarding Anthony Davis, because my opinion is this: should the Lakers win tonight, I think this series is over, whether the Lakers win game 5 or not on Wednesday. But the Lakers win tonight, I think this series is over.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see if Looney has been any updates on him. So we'll see. But like I said, Draymond does he a step up. I think his son will probably say the same thing, because if he saw that presser from after. I just want a close game. I mean, that game was not, the last 2 have not been close. I mean, the first game was actually pretty close, but the last 2 have been just awful on either side. So just want a close game tonight. Same thing with Miami. I mean, we'll hope that Jimmy Butler, you can tell that ankle's still bothering me. We'll be interested to see how he can keep up with that sore ankle. We'll see if guys look. Julius Randle needs to step up. It's that simple. So if I would say the Knicks have a shot to even the series, but if Miami, if they can, get guys like Struss and Bam, and maybe Kyle Lowry finds a fountain of youth, Gabe Vincent. I mean, look, there are a lot of guys out there that can kind of have big nights for the Heat. So if you're the Heat, you want to try to get 3-1. That way you can go to MSG and try to clinch it. So we'll see what happens there. Now, tomorrow's matchups, these are all these games are on TNT, by the way. Both tonight's games are on TNT, and tomorrow night's games are on TNT. The Sixers in Detroit in both pivotal game 5s. That's
Celtics.
The Knicks. Well, the Knicks and the Knicks and the Heat are the first game, in that Monday, and of course, the Warriors and the Lakers. Now, the Celtics and the host and the Sixers, a pivotal game 5. That's at 6:30 on TNT, and also the Suns and Denver, another pivotal game 5 on TNT at 9:00. Of course, our buddy Spirit D's will have the call on that one. So, who will win these pivotal game 5s?
I think the Celtics will win Game 5 because they had a chance to steal one yesterday, and like you said, they just ran out of time. They did everything right. It's just they ran out of time. So I expect the Celtics to win tomorrow night, and I expect the Denver Nuggets to win on home court tomorrow night as well. Jokic, as we mentioned, he scored 53 points last night, but he didn't get much help. And plus, Denver, they play much better on their home court anyway. So as we mentioned, Phoenix, do they have a shot to steal Game 5 tomorrow night? Yes, they do, especially what they did in Game 2. I know they won the last 2 games to tie the series, but Denver is the better team, especially at home. So I expect another close game. I think Denver's going to pull this one out.
Just like I said, it'll be interesting to see. But like, I think the Suns will win Game 5. I don't know why, because they were so close in Game 2. So I think there might be a chance there. But again, I think both these games are going to be close. It's really going to be to see who makes those big shots late. So we'll see what happens there. Now, again, TNT will have it again on Wednesday. Of course, a doubleheader. You got the Heat and the Knicks and the Lakers and the Warriors. Well, we won't know who will be having the leads by then, by the time because we're recording this. So we'll see. And of course, on Thursday, you got Boston and Philly, and Denver and Phoenix. We'll see what those 2 teams are.
Game 6 for both those series.
Yeah, we'll see where both these teams will be by then. So, but these games are going to be on ESPN on Thursday. So, Celtics, Sixers at 6:30, and Nuggets and Suns at 9. So that's your schedule for this week in the NBA playoffs.
All right, you're listening to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, the Monday edition. We're live and live in color. I'm Sid, that's Lakina. Before we get to our girl, Miss Christine, the Queen Manika at the bottom of the hour, Lakina, let's get into some Stanley Cup playoffs in the NHL. Let's do that hockey, and we'll start backwards as we usually do. In the Western Conference second round playoff matchup, the Seattle Kraken take a 2-1 series lead over the Dallas Stars. Seattle hosted their first ever, not their first ever, but their first playoff game in the second round. They destroyed the Dallas Stars 7-2. They scored 3 goals in the beginning of that second period. Lakina, as we talked about before we went on air today, we all know that Seattle's not a high-scoring team, but they took advantage of Dallas's mistakes last night. I guess Dallas was just fatigued. I don't know. But Seattle took advantage of it. That second period, the way the Kraken started off, it was very hot. They used it to their advantage on cruising to a 5-goal win.
Yeah, so I was going back and forth from this game because this game was on TBS, and look, I mean, it was kind of like a bore during the first period, but the Kraken scored 5 goals. In that second period, it kind of put the game, put the match away there, I should say. And they got some. Look, they had different guys contribute and scoring goals. They had 7 different goal scorers. So it's like I said, for me, I think this is going to be interesting because look, it's not like Seattle. They're like these guys. They got guys off the street. You got guys that have won Stanley Cups. You've got guys that have played in the playoffs. This is their first career, with the win against Colorado, beating them, their first franchise playoff series win. So they have 60 different goal scorers in the playoffs so far. So it's been a contribution from every, just about every player on that roster. So I'm kind of like, we're seeing maybe a good sort of like breakthrough here. And of course, Matty Beniers, who could be the Calder, who was a Calder Trophy finalist for Rookie of the Year. So he's been a big contributor, a lot of contributors as well in these playoffs so far. So look, I mean, they've got guys on that team. So I don't think anybody should be too shocked that they played Dallas tough. Like I said, Dallas might be tired. I don't know, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to quote Rick Tocchet, who of course is back doing studio stuff for Turner, at least for the rest of the playoffs. He said the best, games change in every series. Games change, each time. So if Dallas comes back tomorrow and they can kind of dominate and even the series, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely like I think we got to take the Kraken pretty lightly.
Yeah, and they're taking the Seattle very lightly. They just got that wake-up call. Let's give Philip Gruber, the starting goalie for the Kraken, his props. He showed up, especially the last couple of games of that series against Colorado in the first round, to pull off that upset. He's been very good so far in this round against the Dallas Stars.
Oh, absolutely. He's been standing on his head to it. It was a big look. He was one of the big reasons why they upset the Avalanche. So we definitely got to give him his props. So we'll see what happens in that series. We'll get to the rest of the series in a second. Now, Probably one of the biggest surprise going to the Eastern Conference semifinals. You got the Panthers now up 3-0 on the Maple Leafs. And look, we saw Toronto. They wanted Florida. Well, look, as they all say, be careful what you wish for. And so Sam Reinhart's game winner in overtime propelled the Panthers to take that 3-0 lead against the Maple Leafs. Mm-hmm. And look, I don't know. I mean, look, they've got contributions from all sides of their guys. Of course, Reinhardt, got Anthony Duclair. Shout
out to the brother Anthony Duclair.
Yeah, I know, right?
He was here for a short time.
Yeah, he did play for the Hawks for a little bit, for like maybe like a couple of quarters. So he didn't stay that long, unfortunately. But he's making big contributions for the Panthers. And of course, Sergei Bobrovsky has been really solid too.
Sergei Bobrovsky, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. 22 saves for him. And look, I think the Panthers might have a shot to win the cup. I don't think you could have said that. Look, they were one of the last teams to get into the playoffs. So they're saying that, hey, you know what? Look, we're here, and look, don't get it twisted, folks.
Yeah, call me crazy, Lakina, but usually in all sports, you want to play your best. Play your best, carrying momentum going into the playoffs. And as you mentioned, that's what the Florida Panthers are doing. Call me crazy, but doesn't this remind you to a lesser extent the 2012 Stanley Cup champion Los Angeles Kings, when Jonathan Quick was healthy and in his prime? The Kings, I think they were the AC, and they almost swept every series except for the Stanley Cup final, and they beat the New Jersey Devils in 6. But I kind of get that feel from the Florida Panthers a little bit. I know they beat Boston in 7. Right now, they up 3-0 against Toronto. But for Toronto, Austin Matthews, John Tavares, where are you?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know.
But look, I mean, like I said, I think some of the guys from Toronto are going to have to contribute. I mean, look, Sam Lafferty can't do it by himself. So if you're Toronto, I think you got to be. I don't know. I mean, look, Eric Gustafsson, I think he could do a little bit more. He did have a goal last night, but I think he could do a little bit more too. So Toronto, I don't know what to say. I mean, if you're Toronto, you just you got to take it game by game and step by step. Just try to win tomorrow, and see if you can kind of at least cut that lead to 3-1 and see, and just go from there. That's really the only thing you can do at this point. So we'll see if the Maple Leafs can do that. Now going into my Carolina Hurricanes loses to the Devils 8-4. They had 7 different goal scorers. The Devils did as well. Look, they played like a team that was, had their backs against the wall. We saw them doing it against the Rangers. Rob Brittamore was not very happy. I saw his face. Well, they did catch up a little bit. I mean, they did start to catch up now. Unfortunately, a couple big goals from guys like Jack Hughes and Audrey Payet, I should say. So they were just too much for the Hurricanes. But if you're the Hurricanes, you just start over and just see, because I don't know, you don't want to give the Devils any kind of hope.
No, you don't. We know that Carolina's a very good speed team. They also play very well team defense. And we saw that, I want to reference it to game 2 on Friday. We thought that New Jersey was going to come out and give a better performance. They didn't. But they turned up, as the kids would say yesterday, offensively. So, like you said, Jack Hughes, he scored twice last night. And so that was encouraging to see. I think it was just a minor setback for the Carolina Hurricanes. So, and now the Devils tie it up tomorrow night. Like you say, it will be a new series. But I think overall, Carolina's a better team. They're a more experienced team. New Jersey, they're a young team. And give former Buffalo Sabres, Lindy Ruff, now their Devils head coach, credit for having these guys motivated, playing to a system that fits their needs. But Carolina is a better team overall. They just had it off night, and I expect them to play better tomorrow night.
Should be definitely a pivotal there for obvious reasons. Now going into the scheduling for this week in the Stanley Cup playoffs, of course you got the long game 3 that has not played yet tonight yet in the Western Conference. You got Vegas and Edmonton. Series is tied at 1. This will be on ESPN at 7:30. I'm wondering though, if you're Edmonton, you want to try to get that home ice and try to kind of take control of the series. Get Connor McDavid and others to show up and just to kind of because he I don't want to say he's been quiet through this series, but he did have a goal in their win, but it feels like he could be doing a little bit more at this point. You want more guys to step up, but you're the guy. You're the reason, one of the reasons why they're up there right now. So you want to try to kind of get it going there too. I mean, if you're the Knights, I mean, maybe get away from Vegas might be a bad thing. Who knows? But like I said, I think the goal today is really going to be the thing that kind of we'll see what happens in the rest of the series.
Yeah, we said that on our last show on Friday. Like, the first 2 games have been very high scoring, which has been entertaining to watch. But, strong goaltending usually takes over in the playoffs. So I expect one of these 2 games to be a goaltender type game. Now, Vegas needs that style more than the Edmonton Oilers do, because Edmonton is a fast-paced, high-scoring team. Vegas is not. So what gives here? And Vegas is more apparent for them to get out of Edmonton with the split. And like you said, for Edmonton on the flip side, I know Leo Draisaitl scored 4 goals in game 2, but you can't depend on him to do that again. So I expect the series to be tied up at 2 games apiece by the time we get back on there on Friday.
We'll see what happens there. Now, on tomorrow's matches, of course, these games are also on ESPN, the doubleheader here. You got Carolina and New Jersey. Carolina, you better hope
Game 4.
Go up. Yeah, what was it, game 4? No, it's game 4. Game 4. I thought it said game 3. Game 4, Carolina and New Jersey at 6 o'clock on ESPN. Dallas and Seattle at 8:30. That's the night game. That's the late night game on ESPN as well. Do you see maybe, do you see the Devils and the Stars tie in their respective series?
One word, yes.
All right. Wednesday you got Toronto and Florida. Will the Panthers are the Panthers going to sweep the Maple Leafs, or will the Maple Leafs at least try to make it a little bit interesting and win game 4?
I think because of the pressure and the expectations from the whole town Panther fans, I think Toronto will steal this game.
And also, too, you got game 4. We'll see. We won't know where they'll be, but, just for real purposes, Vegas and Edmonton, depending on where they are at 9. This will be a 9 o'clock game on ESPN on Wednesday. I think they'll be tied by the time they go back to Vegas. I think these teams are kind of evenly matched for the most part. So I think they'll be tied going back to Vegas.
Yeah. And then on Thursday, the schedule looks like this. Game 5 between Devils and the Hurricanes will be on TNT at 6 o'clock. That's Chicago time. Followed by Seattle at Dallas for game 5. That's at 8:30 on TNT. That's your Thursday schedule for the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, we'll see where all those games are. Will be a clincher for Carolina. Will be a clincher for Seattle. We'll have to wait and see, but be interesting. Should be interesting nonetheless. As this is Second City Sports on Sports So Chicago. Lakina McGee, Sydney Brown with you. Now we got a couple more minutes. You got the NHL draft coming up tonight. The Blackhawks have a solid shot. To get Connor Bedard. They have about a 9.3% chance or whatever. 19. I don't know how the number is, but I think I'm seeing the positive vibes tonight. Look, we all know how the ping pong balls can go. So, I think they'll be yeah. I mean, we'll see if they're in the top 3. I guess if they're in the top 3, fine. Number 1 would be great. If they can at least get into the top 3, I think I'll be happy. If they don't get the number 1 pick, I guess.
Yeah, like you said, it's a deep draft, at least for the top 5, 6 players for the NHL. But of course, you like to get number 1. Of course, for those of you listening on our replay on our podcast at War Media Podcast, I'm wearing my Blackhawks t-shirt. I don't want to give out my prediction to say I'm hoping for the best as well. I won't be surprised if I end up disappointed tonight. So, but we'll see what happens. I know Anaheim is up there as well. I think they had the 3rd best chance again. And of course, San Jose is up there as well. So, Lakina, if you're the NHL, you want Connor Bedard in a big market. Well, if he goes to Anaheim, that's the LA market, but the Anaheim Ducks are like the White Sox. They get treated like a second-class citizen team. Plus, they're in Orange County outside Los Angeles, so they will not do any justice for the NHL. You want Connor Bedard in a big market, and Chicago has the best chance.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know Tom Fortelli, who does a great job, a columnist for CBSSports.com. I think he said it best. I think maybe they should try to ring the lottery to get to the Chicago, especially. So we'll see what happens tonight. I think that'll be before that Vegas Edmonton game. I think so. Right.
Yes, tonight at 7 o'clock on ESPN and ESPN Plus.
Yeah, it'll be right before that Vegas Edmonton game 3. So we'll see what happens with that. Now, TBS is in a pretty tough spot. Well, Turner is, I should say. It's gonna be on TNT. There's Stanley Cup final. We talked about right before we came on, said that Jeff Akers, who does a great job with entertainment, does the sports media, kind of like the Robert Feeder, I guess. He's kind of taking over that. It's kind of taking over that, but
for
he
the
said
Chicago Sun-Times.
Sometimes we have a tribute, the Sun-Times, and he's been, I guess he's kind of taken over Feeders, like Robert Feeder, who's done it for many years. He's kind of taken over that, but he basically said that TNT, they're in a tough spot because they're not gonna have any big market. Well, unless Toronto somehow comes back, to win their series against the Panthers, it's gonna be a pretty tough matchup, a Stanley Cup matchup to try to sell. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, before we started recording, I guess unless they get Biz and Talk in the steam room together, that might be the only way they'll get people to stay interested. But I don't know. Look, we'll see. But I'm kind of
if you're the NHL, you want Edmonton in there because it represents a Canadian team. Of course, Connor McDavid is your MVP this year, one of the top 3 players in the league. On the Eastern side, can you really sell Florida? I know they haven't been in Stanley Cup Finals since '96 with those Rats, and they lost to the Colorado Avalanche. Of course, New Jersey. Of course, they in the tri-state area, but they don't get the same treatment like the Rangers do. And of course, Carolina, I know your Hurricanes, Lakina, but can you really sell that to a casual audience in America? I'm sorry, you can't.
Yeah. So
I know I'm not saying anything new, but I know some diehard hockey fans don't want to hear it. But you can't. I don't think that you can sell that team to middle America that casually watches hockey.
Could be, like I said, it's gonna be tough, but we'll see what the matchup is. If you get Edmonton, that might be the only shot. If you get Edmonton coming out of the West, that might be the only way you'll be able to maybe get Connor McDavid. At least most people know who he is. So if you can get Edmonton and somebody, whether it's Florida or Carolina, or Toronto. Well, Toronto, if you could pray that they come back, but well, we've seen it happen before. I mean, it's not like it hasn't been done, but it's gonna be tough for Toronto. But they're in a tough spot in the NHL. But we'll see. But like I said, more Biz and Talk, and then the steam room. I guess this might be the only way they'll be able to sell it. But but let's take a really quick break. Our girl Christine Manika is on deck. She'll join us coming up next. I'm sure she'll have her thoughts on the White Sox and other sports happening still. Second C Sports on Chicago. Our girl Christine Manika from KXRB coming up right after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I needed for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you, your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Oh, sorry. Welcome back to Second City Sports on the Monday edition. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid Deslakina. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow my Cam again on the Twitter and I can't come again on the IG.
This is our last segment of the show. Our last segment for today. We have less than a half hour left. You want to get in those last second questions and comments, you can do so by hitting us up on Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Typing in those questions and comments in the comments section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you.
All right, so this is a very rare Monday appearance for our girl here, but she's here nonetheless. She's from KXRB, of course. You know her, you love her, we love her too. Is Miss Christine, the Queen, Manika, and
Hey!
Can you hear me at least?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it's okay.
Oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on. It's a Monday.
Right, I know you had a busy morning, but we can hear you, so it's fine. I know, like I said it too.
I apologize. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. Look, I mean, look, well, like I said, we'll make it work. We've had this happen before, so it's no big deal now. Okay. So let's start. We got a lot to talk with you about, Miss Christine. So let's talk about the White Sox first. I mean, they've won 2 series in a row, which that's great. They scored 17 yesterday, so that's good. But unfortunately, Eli's out after having an appendectomy, so he's gonna be out about a month. So what do you think about where your White Sox are at this point?
I mean, clearly there's been a lot of challenges already this year. I think it started when Tim Anderson got ejected after the 3rd game. It's 3 games and you're already getting ejected, and then you have injuries, you have some sort of a miscommunication between the farm system and the team itself. So there's a lot of wonky things going on. And with Eloy, I saw that Gordon Beckham tweeted that, do you remember when Jim Thome or whoever it was had the same thing happen and he was back in 7 days? And I am like, that's something to put into perspective. I don't know what the circumstances are, but yeah, it's kind of crazy to see the highs and the really low lows for the team right now. And again, it's only the start of the season.
Christine, the Sox record is 4-2 for the month of May following that ugly 10-game losing streak. Talk about Tim Anderson's impact on the team. It really has made a huge difference so far in this last week or so.
He has, and you know what? It shows that you need guys like Tim Anderson to stay healthy and to stay on that roster, whatever it takes. They don't have Jose Abreu anymore. They don't have those big hitters like they did 2-3 years ago, and now it's Tim Anderson's team. He's one of the top veterans that all the young guys are going to look up to, and as a leader, you're supposed to set an example like one.
Do you think the Sox have a chance to get back in? They're 7 back right now, and they play the Royals, which has been kind of the house of horrors for the Sox, and KC especially. So, do you think they have a shot at getting back into it?
I think they have a shot at getting back into it. Am I going to say that they're going to make the playoffs this year? That's kind of it's a 50-50 shot for them, just because they've had some good wins, and then you've had the losses that kind of make you scratch your head a little bit. I'm just thankful that I actually went to a winning game on Friday for the Angels, so that was refreshing.
One more question about the White Sox before we move on, Christine. Liam Hendriks, he met the media here in Chicago last week. He talked about his experiences going through the cancer treatment. He's in Charlotte right now on a rehab assignment. He looks like he's going to be back sooner rather than later. We don't know what the exact timeline is. If you caught the comments to the media last week, what were your thoughts?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so Liam Hendriks saying, I hate it when they were cheering, because then I was getting emotional because I want to get angry when I'm on the mound, not get emotional. So I think that that's totally his personality, and it just shows that, you know, he was really fighting, and just the anger that he has now for even getting diagnosed with cancer, because, you know, you and I, we've never experienced anything like that, and knock on wood, pray to God that we don't. But when you get a diagnosis like that, you do get angry. You do get upset. So for him to get diagnosed with it, A, there's not a better guy in the world to fight cancer than him. And B, he's going to use that anger to his advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad he did do that. And we'll see. We'll see once he does come back. He may not come. He probably won't be back till about this time next month. But hopefully, I can give him, you know, that spark, and maybe perhaps I hate to say it, but maybe, you know, he could kind of be sort of like at least a little bit of what the Liam Hedges we're used to seeing, and maybe perhaps maybe Rick Hahn can trade him. I know he was a subject of trade talks before the season started, before we found out about his cancer diagnosis. So we'll see. I mean, but what do you think? I mean, you know, should the White Sox not get back in it, could you see Rick Hahn perhaps maybe trading a Liam Hendricks, or even some people even said maybe a Tim Anderson at this point?
I would see more Tim Anderson than a Liam Hendricks. It would be a shame to let go such an energy. Both of them really, but more so Liam Hendricks, I think, just to let that energy go like that.
Yeah, according to Bob Nightingale's report of USA Today over the weekend, of course, we all know he has a direct line to the White Sox organization. And he says he said that, at least according to his report, he said that the White Sox organization probably will pick up that $15 million option on Hendricks' contract for next year. As far as the futures of Anderson, Lucas Giolito, I think Lucas Giolito, who's a free agent after this year, he may be gone anyway. But the Sox are out of it. He's probably gone by July 31st. If they somehow stay in it, what happens, they're going to let him go during the offseason.
Honestly, I can see that too, because wasn't it was between him and Kopech that they were going back saying that they're just not right. Like those two, when you think about the pitchers and you think Kopech and Giolito, that they're just not the same players. They're not the same pitchers as what they were a year ago or even before Kopech's injury. So, yeah, I can see Giolito happening more so than Hendricks, in all honesty.
Be interested to see what happens now with that. Now, calling to the more disappointment. Abreu's not playing very well with the Astros so far, and Wilson Contreras. The crazy things that are going on there with apparently, I guess he's going to be DHing, and now there's some rumors that maybe he may not even play at all. So
yeah.
What do you think? I mean, all the former, Chicago baseball players, who's having it worse, I guess.
It's a crazy game. It just reminds you that it is a business, essentially. It's an entertainment and it's a business. And it just shows that you could be at the top of your game, but once you're in another team, you can either fly to the occasion or not.
Yeah, we'll see. As the St. Louis Cardinals have been struggling this year, they'll take on the Cubs tonight at Wrigley Field, starting at 6:40 p.m. Central Standard Time. Christine, staying with baseball, I know you said you were there on Friday. The Angels beat the Texas Rangers. Now, the Texas Rangers have been one of the surprise teams in Major League Baseball this year. What has caught your eye, both positive and negatively, throughout this first and now full month of Major League Baseball? Which teams have caught your eye, both positively and negatively?
You know, some points when I was watching the Angels game on Friday, I was kind of shaking my head because they were doing some of the plays that the White Sox would be doing. Just silly mistakes and just kind of digging a hole until you actually somehow come up with a win. So I guess the team that surprised me in a negative way is the Yankees. I mean, they're having a great season statistically, but they're last in their division. It just shows how competitive that part of baseball is. So that's kind of surprising to me. I'm still pretty shocked about the White Sox. I don't want to go back on them, but they were really supposed to have a better season than what they're having. And so far, it's not clicking for whatever reason. And there's normally that with growing pains when it comes to a new general manager and whatnot. But this is just a little bit tougher for some reason. I don't know. That's something else. gosh, putting me on the spot here, guys. I'm trying to think.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
You know what? I always give the Cubs such a hard time, but they're actually having a pretty decent season. So I'm going to give credit where credit is due and say that that's the team that's surprising me.
You hear that, Cubs fans? Christine's actually giving you some love and no name calling.
Yes, I was saying. Yeah, she wasn't being condescending either. She's actually being very sincere about it.
No, I am. Seriously. I think Cody Bellinger did something for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone can agree on that. We'll see if Matt Mervis can be, sort of like that guy. He had a solid showing in that Marlins series. So we'll see what happens with that. Now, I want to switch gears here and go to the hardwood and talk some NBA playoffs. Any surprises so far? And like same thing, positive or negative, surprises?
God, I love this Laker and the Warriors series going on right now. I think that's great basketball, and I was joking that they have the easiest commute out of any teams right now playing. They just got to go from one side of the state to the next side of the state. So I think that's kind of funny. And yeah, I just think that's some good hometown basketball, because if you're talking about a home team, you might as well be cheering for the state of California. So I think that's pretty awesome. And Laker fans get in it, man. Oh my gosh. We were walking around LA on Saturday because that was game 3 of the series, and everyone was in their purple and gold. There was a big stage by the Staples Center. I'm not calling it the Crypto.com Center because it will never be the Crypto.com Center. But it's just a really cool atmosphere for game day for Lakers fans, and even for Golden State fans. They were giving out away Golden State shirts too. So yeah, that was pretty fun to be around.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. That was going to be my next question to you, Christine. What was the atmosphere around the city of Los Angeles? Because it depends on the season. It's a Dodger town when it's baseball season. When, of course, when basketball season, it's a Lakers town. Talk to us a little bit more what you and Chris, your soon-to-be husband, experienced over the weekend with the Lakers Warriors series in town.
Yeah, I think it was great. I mean, you could tell that everyone was really excited. And again, you see the Shaq jerseys. Of course, you see the Kobe jerseys, and just it's a great atmosphere, and it's a great thing for Los Angeles and for San Francisco too. And I said to Chris jokingly, the only thing that was missing was a scalper coming up to us on the street saying $500 for tickets. And he was laughing because he's like, "You're not wrong." That was the only thing missing.
Right, absolutely. But yeah, you got to think this is good. There a little bit of playful trash talk back and forth between the Warrior fans and Lakers fans. So that's actually been pretty funny.
Yeah, it is. It seriously is.
Yeah. So Joel Embiid winning MVP. Do you have any issue with that?
Not at the moment. I don't.
Right. That's true. You know what? Let's switch gears here and talk some NFL draft. We haven't had a chance to talk to you after the Bears after their draft. So did you like the Bears draft class? Was there like some picks that kind of made you scratch your head, or just in general the whole NFL?
I think that the draft in general was very predictable this year, and that's not said too often, but this year it was pretty straightforward. When it comes to the Bears, it was surprising, though. I will say that they went down to the 10th pick from go. That was just a weird last minute. That was just weird, in my opinion. But I think they got it right. I think they actually got a good draft class this year. Instead of going for, the wide receiver or the quarterback, all those shiny positions, they went for what they needed. And for that, that's very smart. Very smart.
Speaking of your franchise quarterback for the Bears, Christine, Justin Fields graduated from Ohio State yesterday. Graduated from college, receiving his degree in finance. Give us your thoughts about that. I thought it was a very cool moment. I saw it on social media. Of course, it's been running here in Chicago on the news all morning. And rightfully so.
I think it's great too. I always respect athletes that get drafted so young to be able to finish their degree, or for athletes that didn't really finish their degree and decided to go back to school to get something to fall back on. Cole Kmet, he's doing the same thing, or if not, he did graduate from Notre Dame and getting his degree finished up and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So I think that's great. Now, like I said, Notre Dame, Cole Kmet, Ohio State, Justin Fields, I'm a Notre Dame fan, so Fields can just run along with the Buckeyes.
We'll also do another shout out to the latter part of what you said, Christine. Ray Allen, who I thought he got his degree already, after.
Yes, he did get his degree. Yeah,
which is weird because I thought he'd already gotten it like years ago after I think the second team championship. Because I know he only had like a couple of classes after he left UConn to go to the NBA. So I thought he already had his degree, but Larry Fisher reported that he got his degree. So good kudos to him as well. So yeah, I mean, look, it's never too late to go back to school. I know that was about 20 years since, a little over 20 years since Ray Allen was there. So I guess it's never too late to get your degree or anything for that matter. So kudos to both him and Justin Fields. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And when I saw the pictures of both of them yesterday.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think there was a basketball player that got his degree too, not too long ago. It escapes my memory, but I think there was another situation like that. Oh, you know what? It was oh gosh. Oh my Lord. He ended up playing golf.
J.R. Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, J.R. Smith. That was it. Yeah, he went back to school. Not only did he get his degree, but he just decided, I'm going to play golf.
Yep. And that's actually pretty good at golf, too.
Right.
We're joined by our homegirl, Miss Christine, the Queen Manika for KXRB in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, right here on Second City Sports. A rare Monday appearance for the Queen, but we're glad she's here joining us. I'm Sid, that's Lakina. You're listening to Sports Zone Chicago. Christine, saw some of the pictures on your Insta over the weekend with you and your soon-to-be husband, Chris. Tell Chris we said hello. Besides attending the Angels game last Friday, what else did you guys do on your trip back to his hometown of Los Angeles?
Oh, gosh. Well, we went to Temecula on Wednesday, had a little bit of wine, experienced that Southern California wine country. If you don't want to go all the way up to Napa, that's the next best place to go check that out.
He didn't get too drunk, did he?
What's up?
He didn't get too drunk, did he?
No.
Okay, good.
He was telling me that I could drink as many glasses as I want since I was on vacation. But I only had 4. So we went to, maybe 5. So we went to 4 different wineries, and I had a glass at every one that we went to. So it was like an hour in between each glass of wine. But then the last place that we went to, we actually went back to the first place because we liked that one the best, and I wanted to purchase a couple of bottles. So I had another glass there. So it worked out.
Well, love that. Is there any particular favors that, you guys have picked out for your wedding, yet? Or
I wasn't even thinking about that, in all honesty. But now I think the next time we go back, maybe we'll have to bring a couple of bottles just for the wedding.
Yeah. Well, it's like, look, that's a nice region of California, other than Napa, like you said, for the wine. So, might as well get a couple of bottles for the wedding.
Right.
Well, let's say not to worry about.
Any other fun activities, sightings that you experienced in LA?
So when we were at the Staples Center, next to it, we checked out the Grammy Museum, and that was pretty cool just to see all the all the artifacts and just the history of some of the greatest songs we ever heard. And then we checked out the Griffith Observatory.
Oh, yes.
I will say, it's so great up there. It's beautiful.
Yes.
But parking, it's a pain in the butt. Like,
I've heard,
I couldn't believe it. And that's just my 2 cents on the parking, because I'll go off in a tirade if I keep going.
Well, that whole region, California, and the parking is just terrible.
It's awful. And then, so that night after we checked out my future father-in-law's baseball game, he was behind home plate. He was the ump for the Long Beach State what was it, Chris? Cal State Bakersfield game. So that was fun to watch that. Yeah.
Ooh, that's cool. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's coming down to wire too in the baseball season. I think they're like they're going to conference tournaments.
Pretty much, they're
the college,
yeah.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Well, I know the softball. They're already about to start their conference tournament as well. So good grief, this year's gone by quick.
Right.
So, little nutty there. Yeah, like so much. But even still, I mean, look, it's great. I'm glad you guys had a great time. It's a lot of
and I slept
fun.
in. That was the best part. Sleeping in after waking up at 4 every day. That's nice.
Well, look, that's the best part of living out west. I mean, even when the games are over with, it's still early, so you can.
Oh my God, I love that. I literally told Chris, this is how any sporting event should be. Just still have enough of your night left just to chill out.
Exactly.
And yeah, it was great. And I actually bounced to West Coast time easier than previous times. So I wasn't tired at 6 o'clock at night. I was still staying up until 9:30. So that's an accomplishment.
Yeah, that sounds great.
That's usually how it works when you go out west too. I think it kind of your clock, your body clock kind of adjusts better. I don't know why, but
yeah.
What was your experience like on the Expressway 405? Because I know it's a gridlock. It's a gridlock day and night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
They don't call it Expressway 405. It's called the 405.
That's what I mean.
Just like the 5, the 10, they don't say freeway or expressway. They say the 5, the 10, all that.
Yeah, what was your experience like? You guys used the expressway.
It's never really that bad. Let me put it this way: the times that Chris is giving me the look, saying it was bad. It was bad on Saturday, but other than that, it wasn't terrible. The times that I've been to California, it hasn't been awful. I haven't been in standstill traffic, so yeah, it was moving at least.
Right.
Okay. Well, you're lucky there.
Small victories, I guess, in the 40.
But no, Chris was giving me the look, saying, no, it's bad. But in general, when we were there, it wasn't standstill traffic. It was moving.
Even still, look, anytime you can go through that without hitting the bumper traffic, I think that's always a good thing, right? So,
and the funny part is with California traffic is that you'll be in traffic for about 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden you're moving. It's what was the point of that?
The little slowdown thing, I guess. That's what they call it. Down there now. Any sports media news, Sid, that we got? Now that we got a few more minutes.
I saw over the weekend that Reggie White will. There's a 30 for 30 documentary that's taking place right now. It's in its early stages with ESPN. ESPN creators are trying to see how they're going to do this. Of course, Reggie White, the Pro Football Hall of Famer, he passed away in his sleep in 2004. Of course, I believe he's still the NFL all-time sacks leader, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. I'll look it up.
I think you can check up on that, but there's going to be a 30 for 30 documentary made about him. I know NFL Network / NFL Films did Football Life about him in the late Jerome Brown. They were teammates in Philadelphia in the late 80s, early 90s. They did that about a decade ago, which I thought that documentary was very good. But ESPN is going to now take its turn on making a 30 for 30 doc about the late great Reggie White.
Yeah, he's actually number 2. I think. Remember, Bruce Smith now has that.
Bruce Smith, that's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's actually right behind him. But yeah, I mean, it should be interesting, though. I think I know his family. I know his wife especially have been advocates for sleep apnea. That's what sadly what he died of when they did the autopsy.
Mm-hmm.
So this should be interesting once they do finish. I know he was a great player at Tennessee. So we'll see how far they go, and I'm sure his family will be much involved in that development of that 30 for 30. So we probably will see it again to probably maybe early next year or something like that, maybe right before the Super Bowl, perhaps.
You would think.
Yeah. Right. Well, actually, it could be a delay in the NFL scheduling. Apparently, Peter King's reporting that it was supposed to be this Thursday, May 11th, but I guess there might be some delays, according to Peter King. Due to various prime time and stuff, especially with the holiday games, especially where they're falling this year. So I guess it's probably why we're going to see maybe a delay in the scheduling release for the NFL. They haven't made an official announcement yet, but that could be it. And also, too, I guess the Chiefs don't want to play the Bears in Germany.
What? I thought Andy Reid was like, give me a bratwurst and a beer and I'm ready to go.
Well, I guess the revenue, because you're going to have a lot of Bears fans, you got a lot of ex-Chicagoans, that live in KC. I guess they don't want to on the revenue and such. It's not just the Bears. I think there are a couple other games. They supposed the next 2 years they're supposed to be playing a home game. I guess that's a home game loss we could play those games overseas. So maybe that's why they don't want that. I don't know.
Yeah, because I think that's the home game. That was a home game for the Chiefs.
Yep, and it also too, the next 2 years they're supposed to have lose a home game in to play in Germany. So that's probably why they don't want the back-to-back. Maybe next year's.
Andy Reid is going to be very disappointed.
Well, look, it's bratwurst and beer. I mean, my goodness, but yeah, I mean just that whole crazy thing that's happening with the NFL schedule releasing and all that other stuff that transpired.
Here's what I wanted to ask Christine, since I know we're running up against it. Aaron Rodgers now a new member of the New York Jets, which we all thought it was going to happen at the draft time, which it did. He's making his rounds around New York City, appearing at Mets games, the Knicks playoff games for basketball. Mm-hmm. He's making his rounds around New York City. Now, I will say this: if the Jets get off to a bad start, if it's because of Aaron Rodgers, those New York fans are going to turn on him real quick. Christine, we want to get your thoughts about Aaron Rodgers being the new man in town in NYC.
Well, it only took a trade for him to get rid of the beard and the long hair. He was probably told that you got to sit up and fly right because it's different in New York. So he's probably putting on a good face for the city, and then he'll go back into his little black hole again and hide. But no, we all knew that it was coming, the trade, but it just wasn't definitive about the deal, how much, and all that stuff.
Yeah, look, I mean, I know Garrett Wilson's probably just because you've been hanging out with Sauce Gardner
right.
the last couple of days. So I think if you're Wilson, you might be just a little bit jealous, but maybe not, who knows, but you might have been busy. But the Jalen Carter stuff, I know there are still some Bears fans that still feel that they should have selected him, but of course Philly got him. He became the first rookie to sign his rookie deal. So what are your thoughts real quick about, Carter going to Philadelphia and not to the Bears?
Everyone's going to be mad at something, The Bears fans have been mad for years, and this is just another thing to add to our anger, I guess that you could say. But overall, I'm happy with what they did with the pick, and I'm hopeful for the season.
All right, Christine, I wanted to ask you about this since you were in LA over the weekend. Did you and Chris run into any Dodgers fans? Because I know they played the San Diego Padres in San Diego over the weekend. Did you guys run into any Dodger fans?
I saw a lot of Dodgers jerseys, but since we were in Anaheim and just, that SoCal area for a lot of our time, a lot of Angels.
Orange County.
Yeah, exactly. Orange County.
No, yeah, the last. Well, that's why we call the Angels, Los Angeles Angels of Orange County.
Right.
Yeah.
Or Southern California Angels. I know that's so weird how that works, but yeah, it's all how all that different parts of Southern California. I mean, you got different. Everyone acts differently, so I don't know.
Right, and who knows? Maybe I did see Dodgers fans. I don't know. If someone was walking by me on the street, maybe they were a Dodgers fan.
Maybe so. All right. So anything else before we disperse for today?
I'm good.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that said, you follow me at Kingdom McGee on the Twitter and at Killscope again, the IG.
You can follow your Shirley Sydney Brown on the Twitter and the IG at CK80. Once again, at CK80, that's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. Christine, where can the lovely people follow you on social media?
They can follow me on Twitter at @CManika_KXRB.
And we promise you, folks, she does have a lovely face, so even though you can see it right now.
It's okay. It happens. Now, of course, you can catch Second City Sports every Monday and every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Sports of Chicago, your Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. It's all right there. Also, too, you can catch the replay on War Media Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, your favorite Google Play Store, anytime you want. On the War Media Podcast. Make sure you look at War Media Podcast on your Play Store.
Yes, and don't forget, like Makina said, follow Sports on Chicago on all social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Don't forget to follow War Media at WARR Media, also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Smash that like button. Share this program to any and everybody you know. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
And don't forget, you can catch Sports Zone Chicago also available on Roku TV.
Yeah, anytime you want, it's right there on the Roku TV app or the Roku remote. Just type in Sports Zone Chicago. It's all right there for you. You can catch our show. Sean and Maya, the Smoke Fellas, what's up, cuz? I know they're going to have a big NBA playoff talk tonight. Of course, with the Bulls and also, too, with the Blackhawks, hoping to get those top picks and such. So,
I want to ask Christine real quick. Yes or no, will the Blackhawks win the NHL draft tonight? Yes or no?
Yes. Optimism.
Yes.
Okay.
Positive vibes. Okay, thank you, Christine. Positive vibes. We're sending those positive vibes out there to those ping pong balls. All right, we go. Good luck to the Hawks. Of course, we want to thank our girl Christine for joining us today, as always, for a rare Monday appearance. Always happy to have her on, regardless. But for Christine and Chris and Sid, I'm Manika. This has been Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, and we'll see you guys on Friday.
Till then, go Sox. Holla.